Back again with another review here, and this is for Grand Theft Ruben. He wanted me to talk about and review Nothing to Lose, a 1997 film, comedy with Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence, which I thought I had this film, but I could not find it. I need to pick this up now that I've seen it. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie. Now, the plot to the film, you have Tim Robbins in the film, who plays Nick Beam. And one day he catches his wife sleeping with his boss, and Nick, he gets up and leaves. He hits the road, and driving through the hood, he is carjacked by Martin Lawrence. And after that, Tim Robbins, he hits the gas pedal, and they take off, and soon enough they end up being friends, going through adventures together, which also includes burglary, hold-ups, and revenge. And that's the plot to the film here. The film is written and directed by Steve Odenkirk, who directed Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. And he also wrote Bruce Almighty and Kung Pao Entered the Fist. And the cast here, you have Martin Lawrence, who I'm a fan of, from Blue Streak and the Bad Boys movies. He plays the character of Terrence. You have Tim Robbins, who plays the character of Nick Beam. And Tim Robbins in the film, he's kind of he's a marketing executive, but he's a little bit of a pushover. And when him and Martin Lawrence, when they hit the road, Martin Lawrence is like, you gotta. He's like, why'd you leave? Why didn't you just stand your ground? And, when you caught your wife sleeping with your boss, I'm Nick Beam. You should, you're supposed to stand your ground and all that stuff. And kind of Martin Lawrence here, I thought this was a great showcase for him. And, really he brings a lot of energy to the film. And him and Tim Robbins had a fun banter throughout the movie, where Martin Lawrence is trying to, bring out more of the Nick Beam character. Where Tim Robbins, he's more of the straight man here. But I thought their chemistry was a lot of fun. You also have in the cast, John C. McGinley. You've seen this guy before. He was in Point Break, On Deadly Ground with Seagal. Great actor. In which him and this other guy in the film, Giancarlo Esposito, which he would later be on in Breaking Bad and stuff, and those two are like other criminals that are on the road, and they would bump into Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence, and they're good in the film. Kelly Preston's in here, rest in peace. She's in here. She plays the wife of Tim Robbins, Michael McKean, from Short Circuit 2. He's the boss of Tim Robbins here. Rebecca Gayheart has a small part in the film. So again, just a really good cast. A lot of, good talent here. And like I said, Tim Robbins' character is a marketing executive, and there's some fun stuff in the beginning where they're talking about this advertisement for Heidi Ho cookies, and this guy unveils a poster, like a concept for a mascot named Zippy, which is a chocolate chip cookie, and he's leaving behind like chocolate chips. And Tim Robbins is like, that looks like excrement. And that whole bit was fun. And then you kind of get into the plot of, Kelly Preston in the film, and Tim Robbins, catches her in the bed with his boss, Michael McKean, which you don't see his face, but, you get the idea. And, Tim Robbins, he hits the road, and he's gassing it, which, soon enough, he's carjacked, by Martin Lawrence. And, again, they have a fun chemistry throughout the movie. And when they get to the diner, it's one of the first stops that these characters make, and they have a little bit of a back and forth there, and they have a little bit of a fight, which was fun. And there's a lot of, shenanigans between these characters. I would say, A funny scene was when, they're on the road talking, like, driving at night, and there's a spider on Tim Robbins' head. And, earlier when he was pumping gas, which was another fun scene. And I don't want to give away so many scenes here, but long story short, he had gotten gas on his feet, and going back to the scene where they're driving at night and there's like a spider on Tim's head, they pull over and something happens where he steps on a matchbook and his pants, his shoes, catch on fire. And just before that, he's trying to get the spider off. And you have that song, "I'm a scat man." I don't know why, that thought, that scene was funny. Seeing Tim Robbins, trying to get, put his feet out, his feet are on fire. And he's dancing around to that, scat man tune. Now, I had a little fun with that. And, meanwhile, like I said, you have these other, criminals in the film played by John C. McGinley and Giancarlo Esposito. They come across, Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence, because they're kind of committing crimes too. And what you find out, Tim Robbins, he wants to get back at his boss. Tim Robbins, he has this idea where he wants to get back at his boss for, screwing his wife. And he wants to rob his boss. And Martin Lawrence is like, let me in on that. Let me, be a part of this. But at the same time, they got these other criminals that are on their tail. And again, there's a lot of shenanigans throughout the movie. When you get to the workplace, there's a funny scene where I remembered they're at the store and, Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence, they have a little back and forth on, who was scarier. Because the clerk is an old man. Martin Lawrence, he scares the old man, and Tim Robbins is like, was I scarier? I really enjoyed that whole bit. When they rob, Tim Robbins' workplace, there's a lot of fun stuff there, where, they're both in ski mask, and Tim Robbins, he looks at one security camera and he's giving it the finger, and he's giving it double middle fingers and stuff, and that was funny. I know I'm kind of giving away certain moments here and scenes of comedy, but I just had fun with this movie. I mean, to me, this is a much better film that came out in '97 because I just watched, Bean with Rowan Atkinson, but for me, this is a better comedy from that year. But I had a lot of fun with this, and again, I would love to pick this up. I need to check if it's on Blu-ray or not. But either way, I would definitely love to own this in my collection. And I think another thing for me too, when it comes to, Tim Robbins, I'm so used to seeing like Tim Robbins in more, serious performances, whether it be Jacob's Ladder, Shawshank Redemption. I mean, I've seen him in Howard the Duck and what have you, and other variety of movies. Cadillac Man, that's a fun one. That's a comedy, but, he's a guy that you really don't see in comedies much. And here, he was having fun. I mean, I don't know what Tim Robbins, like, if you were to ask him now, what does he think about the movie? I would be curious to see, what he thinks about the film now. I don't know if he would be, if he's a fan of the movie. But I thought him and Martin Lawrence, they just really bounced off each other well. And they had an energy there, a fun energy throughout the movie. And I just think that, the whole film has a fun energy to it. And it's a good blend of comedy, some bits of action, adventure, and yeah, I'm just glad that I, got a chance to watch this movie. And overall, Tim Robbins and Martin Lawrence, they have a fun chemistry, and it's an enjoyable buddy comedy that is also underrated. And that's my review of Nothing to Lose. But thank you for watching, and have a good day.